Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana Timirandhasya, Jnananjana Shalakaya, Chakshurun Militam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tumeva Mada Chapita, Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha, Tumeva Vidya Dravinam, Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma, Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma, Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. We will begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. Slowly close your eyes. Try to watch your breath for a few seconds. As you watch your breath, you will also see that your mind is slowly relaxing as a result of that observation. Feel completely relaxed now. Now we'll chant Om 3 times. And as we chant Om, visualize the sound of Om rising from your navel area and feel the vibrations of Om rising upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind, and the atmosphere around you. Now kindly take a deep breath. Feel the vibrations of Om in each and every part of your body. Once again, bring your awareness on your breathing. Breathing normally and observing the breath and the breathing process, just like a witness, watching every inhalation and exhalation that occurs through your body. And now, as you breathe in, chant the mantra Ma silently along with your in breath, and Om when you breathe out. So, Ma when you breathe in, and Om when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love, and Om, divine light. You need not visualize love and light, but just feel your heart being filled with that love and light. Continue like this for some time. Slowly and slowly, the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle, and you can just feel the vibrations of Ma and Om. Now feel your heart being filled with that divine love and light. And feel the heart expanding, just like a flower bud that blooms into a beautiful flower, giving fragrance and beauty. Imagine that love and light emanating from your heart and going out to all the beings in this world, just like the rays of the sun. And as the light falls on each and every being, visualize that they also become more loving, more peaceful, more content and compassionate. And while imagining so, we'll chant the Loka Samasta prayer 9 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhulabagundhanavatim Tejomayim Naishtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusekta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Srude Smriti Purananam Aliyam Karunaliyam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashyakritau Vande Bhagavandau Punah Punaha Ishwarau Guru Ragmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Lakshana Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwariye Namaha. Om Amriteshwariye Namaha. I've been having this Srimad Bhagavatam for some time, and now we have come to the 10th skanda of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is central to understanding the character and teachings of Lord Krishna. And this section consists of 90 chapters and 3,946 verses, and which is a comprehensive depiction of Lord Krishna's life and his role as the ultimate support or God. And it also serves as a profound spiritual and philosophical discourse, emphasizing bhakti, that is devotion, as the supreme goal beyond the the other traditions or the purusharthas, which is dharma, which is righteousness, and artha, that is wealth, kama, pleasure, and even moksha. So it is said that bhakti, that is true devotion, is even beyond the fourth purushartha, which is moksha, liberation. And it's called as the fifth purushartha, which is supreme bhakti. And the discussion on the historicity of Lord Krishna highlights the blend of historical evidence and spiritual narratives that constitutes Lord Krishna's legacy. And so there is the accounts which suggest that Lord Krishna as a divine figure, philosopher, as a hero, and also one of the things is he's saying that, arguing that this the unity reflects the multifaceted nature of Lord Krishna's divine manifestation, encompassing his teachings, his role in political and social spheres, and his depiction as the epitome of the divine love and play in Vrindavana. And Lord Krishna's life narrative as presented in the Bhagavata and the Mahabharata encapsulates his divine mission, from his miraculous birth to his leadership in establishing dharma and guiding the spiritual evolution of humanity through his teachings, notably the Bhagavad Gita. And his life story serves not only as a historical account but also as a spiritual guide, illustrating the path of bhakti and the accessibility of divine communion through devotion. And the Bhagavata Dharma, as they say, the Dharma according to Srimad Bhagavatam, democratizes spiritual access to everyone and moving beyond the elitism of Vedic rituals and the intellectual rigor of Upanishadic philosophy. It presents a devotional path that integrates action, emotion, and intellect, offering a direct relationship with the divine that responds to the deepest yearnings of the human heart. And this universal and inclusive approach underscores Lord Krishna's enduring appeal and the transformative potential of his teachings. And the one sense we can see the mystical Krishna in the context of the Puranas, or the stories that we hear. The historical Lord Krishna is clearly visible through the narratives of Bhagavata and Mahabharata, and the finished personality that we get as a central figure in the Bhagavata is not a man or a hero or a philosopher or even a saint, but the very God whose contact transforms sinners into saints, ignorant men into sages, sense-bound beings into spiritual ecstatics, and even animals to devotees of God. So he is of the essence of Satchidananda, personified into a human form, so that a weak man who cannot rise through meditation and samadhi into communion with the divine, forming his own spiritual substratum, may get an opportunity to contact him, the very same divinity, through the senses. So does this sound very familiar to you? Right? So we experience that through Amma. It's the same description that we can give to Amma also. So that's why there's such a commonality between Lord Krishna's teachings, philosophy, and his life, and that of Ammas. And all his human actions during the span of his earthly life are meant not only to bless his contemporaries and establish righteousness on earth, but to provide for the pious contemplation of posterity the spiritually potent account of his earthly deeds, by meditating on which they could establish with him the same devotional relationships which his great devotees had with him in his lifetime. So in one sense we can also say it is the same thing with Amma. And when we meditate on Amma's life and our interactions with Amma, or if you hear about the stories of how Amma interacted with other devotees, as which we hear during satsang every day, it's indeed like a meditation. And he is depicted as an expression of redeeming love of God, that is which manifests in different ages and in different lands, bringing spiritual enlightenment and bliss into the otherwise dreary life of humanity. So, the Bhagavatam dictum is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That is, Lord Krishna is really the Bhagavan, that is Lord, truly the Lord himself. And then the problem is, the theologians have used it to downgrade the other incarnations and conceptions of Mahavishnu and contend that Krishna is the deity and other conceptions of Vishnu are his manifestations. So it's a merely cult-oriented interpretation. On the other hand, the purpose of the dictum seems to be more to assert that Lord Krishna is just the Satchidananda Parabrahmam, which is revealed through the Upanishads in human terms. And we can see that the other thing is he has of himself and in himself projected this universe of multiplicity with all its elevating, ennobling manifestations its high ideals of truth, self-sacrifice, love, and service, and also their opposite traits of disvalues, the evil aspects of life, like cruelty, poverty, selfishness, exploitation, and all-around degradation. And in the midst of all these contradictory values is the Lord, with none of them affecting him. And he shines always as the Satchidananda, and he's the perfect person amidst all imperfect situations, like the eternal boy, the paragon of masculine beauty, who always remains in his spiritual elevation and absolutely unperturbed and unaffected, be it amidst the poverty or hardships of the cowherd settlement, amidst the ascetic rigors of anchorites and spiritual aspirants, amidst the seductive charms of dancing beauties, amidst the gory scenes of the battlefield, and also the self-destructive holocaust of his own kith and kin, and amidst the peaceful associations of life. And he, in fact, he lives in this world like a lotus leaf in water, absolutely untouched, unaffected by the environment, a mere witness to it, but never its victim. And though this truth is clearly brought about by this Bhagavata Purana, in its depiction of Krishna, there are critics who refuse to see this truth and try to evaluate Krishna as a man and accuse him of moral lapses in certain features of his life, like his relationship with the gopis, his having a household of 16,000 wives, and is affecting the destruction of enormous numbers of kings and their armies. And they can as well find God immoral and cruel for creating a world. So, as we can see, the critics can talk a lot about Lord Krishna's life and say these all the things, that number one, his relationship with the gopis can be totally misinterpreted. Then how about the next one is having 16,000 wives? When some people ask me this question, I tell them, forget 16,000, you cannot deal with one wife or one husband. And if he did deal with 16,000 wives, that itself is a miracle. And the other thing is, as they say, his whole kula, his whole clan was completely destroyed. And he was just being a witness. And he says, saying, and then there is also the historians who come and say that, this is not, Lord Krishna was not even a historical figure. And so he's saying that these were all stories that was made in the by certain people, and so he did not exist. But today there has been many discoveries when they had gone to the depths of sea in near the coast of Gujarat, where it was Mathura. Sorry, not Mathura. Sorry, Dwaraka. Dwaraka was established, and Dwaraka actually went under the sea. And so what happened was, today people have undergone expeditions and found the remnants of the city. So here, one of the things the author is saying, that forget historicity, forget all these other things, but if you do not want to accept the unique status of Lord Krishna, but to look upon him and judge him accordingly, well, please don't read this. This is of no benefit to you. And as we see that, there's also just a brief explanation of what bhakti, the bhakti tradition is. And in order to understand the special turn of this that the Bhagavata gives to the doctrines of bhakti, a review of the doctrines as developed by the earlier theoreticians would be found advantageous as a background. So you have to understand what the background is to understand what is real bhakti. As I said, bhakti goes even beyond the four Purusharthas and even beyond the Upanishads. And they say also the other thing that is said is bhakti, for a real bhakta, liberation is immaterial. They are not looking even for liberation. That is moksha or mukti. And he's saying that in order to understand the concern with the sentiment of devotion to the Supreme Being is as old as the Vedas themselves in the Indian tradition. And the Rig Veda Samhita is full of it. And in the early Vedic literature, the term used for devotional sentiment is not bhakti, but shraddha, faith. And the Vedic hymns are full of devotional sentiments. And they are addressed to the one God of all. And the deities invoked are his attributes personified, and not many gods, as interpreted by the Western Orientalists. And in the Upanishads, the predominant direction of the quest is to find out the unity of existence, to know that by knowing which everything is known, and man is helped to transcend all fear. So it said that ellabdva jnanam na param labham, that is, by obtaining which knowledge, there is nothing more to be obtained. But the path of devotion is clearly observable. It is saying in the earlier Upanishads like the Brihadaranya and Chandogya, and all these things are there. And the Shvetashvatara goes to the extent of telling it is only in an aspirant having supreme devotion to God and also to the Guru that the truths of the Upanishads will fructify as realization. So only if you have devotion to God and the Guru that these truths will be illuminated. What the Puranas in general and the Bhagavata in particular do is to supplement the Vedic development with a high personality conceptions of the deity suited for purely devotional purposes without losing link with the Upanishads. And the word bhakti is derived from the root bhaj, which has several meanings, which means to serve, to honor, to love, to adore, and which has given the expression its current meaning of devotion to God. But the long usage in devotional literature, it is now commonly understood as love of God and the way of life conducive to it. And Narada and Shandalya, that Narada, sages Narada and Shandalya, the most authoritative theoreticians on bhakti, have described it as follows. And according to Narada, it is the wholehearted and supreme love of God. Obtaining it, a man feels he has gained the highest attainment in life. He rises above fear of death, and he finds himself in unalloyed bliss always. And he becomes indifferent to everything except God, and he depends on nothing except him. And bhakti is characterized by absorption in his worship, in his remembering his excellences. It is most conspicuous sign is complete self-dedication to the Lord and the feeling of intense anguish whenever the mind slips away from him. So in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, that's what sage Narada says, Satvasmin Parama Premas Rupaha. That is, he's talking about bhakti. And he says that it is of the supreme nature of love. And Amrita Swarupacha, it is of nectar of immortality. And he says, Ellabdua Puman, Siddho Bhavadi. That once who get it, he becomes full of siddhis, or he is becoming full of powers. Amrito Bhavadi, that he becomes immortal. And Tripto Bhavadi, which is the most important, which is content. He doesn't require anything else. And so, Narada is probably the more pronounced in this respect. He thinks that the consciousness of God's unique greatness and his attributes is always present in devotion, as without it, devotion will be indistinguishable from human love. It is probably better to understand the definition of having both the implications instead of only one, because some generally understand an object must necessarily precede the birth of love and attachment. But it is also true that the worldly attachment may be eroded, slackened, or even totally obscured by adverse circumstances, but not so genuine and deep-rooted love of God. So the Bhagavata, however, gives its own definition of bhakti as follows. It says that when all the energies, the senses, including the organs of knowledge and action, which are usually engaged in knowing external objects, and in works sacred and secular, become concentrated as a unified mental mode directed to the Supreme Being, spontaneous like an instinct and devoid of any extraneous motives, the resulting state of mind is called bhakti. So, when the energies of the senses, including the organs of knowledge and the action, become concentrated as a unified mental mode directed towards the Supreme Being and devoid of any selfishness. So there is any selfishness, the resulting state of mind is called bhakti. And it is even superior to mukti, liberation. Like fire burns up the soul's sheath of ignorance. So it is said that even that the pure bhakti, when you're talking about bhakti, we have to understand it's not of emotional nature. Bhakti is the complete knowledge, and as the mind, they say, the mind which has completely immersed in the love of the Supreme is even higher than liberation. So that's what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. So if you think about bhakti and reaching that state, it is really, in one sense, it is the highest state so far. The Amma says this. The Lord, when you ask for liberation, the Lord will easily give liberation. But if you ask for bhakti, if you ask for devotion, Lord will not give it. You know why? Because the Ishvara, that is the Lord, will become a slave to the devotee. So he would not give it. Some people question this, right? And ask this question, that why is bhakti more important or higher than liberation? Isn't liberation the best? So you remember during the 50th, Swamiji's birthday, 50th birthday, Amma called him and told him that ask for anything, I'll give it to you. And he paused for a while and thought about it. And then all he asked for is Amma's Devi Bhava. Just to see Amma's Devi Bhava. And many people later went on telling him that you're such a fool. You could have asked for liberation. Amma would have given you liberation. Why didn't you ask for liberation? Swamiji said, like if I ask for liberation, if I get it, then Amma and I become one and same. Then I cannot enjoy the devotion. I cannot enjoy the love for Amma. So, that's why it is said that it is even superior to liberation. And there are several other descriptions of bhakti in the Bhagavata, more or less in the lines of what sage Narada and Shandilya. And then we can see that while love and attachment can arise only towards a being apprehended as a person, attractive and favorably disposed, absorption through concentration can arise even in respect of an impersonal entity, and also through the stirring of fundamental instincts like curiosity, fear, and hatred. So bhakti can be actually instigated by all these, even the worst qualities. So that's why they said there is different types of bhakti. So they call the first one is Vidvesha Bhakti. Vidvesha Bhakti means hatred. Vidvesha means hatred to the Lord. Even if you have hatred to the Lord, that is also bhakti, that is also devotion. And the first is the Bhagavata idea of Vidvesha Bhakti, or communion through confrontation. Such a conception is not found in the early bhakti theoreticians, nor is it looked upon with favor even by later writers in bhakti. And all theoreticians consider that only absorption resulting from a sense of anukulya, that is favorableness, or in the object of love, can be the genesis of devotion. Besides, whatever the Bhagavata may say, it had no application in the life of ordinary men. But in the Bhagavata narrative, this attitude of confrontation is represented in the case of some titanic souls like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and that under unusual circumstances. So these people like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, as you know the story, some of you may have understood that story. They were both Jaya and Vijaya were the doorkeepers of Sri Lord Mahavishnu. And one day the Saptarishis, the 7 sages, came to visit Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu had told Jaya and Vijaya, the doorkeepers, not to let in anybody. But the Saptarishis said that, we are in a hurry, we want to see Mahavishnu right away. So they did not let him in. So they cursed him, and when they cursed him, they said, you'll go to the world of human beings, Manushya Loka. And they said, but we'll give you one choice. You can take several births, be a great bhakta, a devotee, and then finally get liberation. Or be Lord's enemy, and you will get liberation in 3 births. And so they chose for being Lord's enemy, because it's only 3 births, so they will get that. So that's why in the Satya Yuga, that is, they were born as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And the Treta Yuga, where Lord Rama was, they were born as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And during the Dwapara Yuga, that is Lord Krishna's time, Shishupala and Dandavakra. That is the 2 cousins. They were 2 cousins. And in all these 3 different births, they were actually killed each time by the different incarnations of Lord Mahavishnu. And so it takes, what he's saying is, you can, as an ordinary soul, you cannot have that guts enough to become, a person of hatred towards God. And that's these people like Ravana and the other ones, they were not really ordinary souls. Ravana was highly educated in all the scriptures. As you know the story, he even lifted the Mount Kailasha.
through his ascetic power with one finger the Mount Kailasa, and Lord Shiva actually blessed him. So they were not ordinary souls. And that's why they were, however, to regain their status after spending 3 successive lives in hatred of or confrontation of God. And in each of these births, they were killed in the battle by the Lord incarnate as a result of the sage's curse and instinctive antagonism to God, and an obsessive dread of him possessed their soul. And he's saying that the beauty about this bhakta, devotion, of hatredness, having hatredness, so much of hatredness towards the God, and it's showing how it is, why it is. So according to the Bhagavata, such a state of mind, even when you have hatredness, that mind can be transformed. How? They say that you remember the the yellow jacket. So it is said that the yellow jacket, when it lays an egg and the worm is imprisoned in a cavity and guarded by the yellow jacket, and what happens is as the worm transforms into the egg transforms into a worm, it comes and starts stinging the worm, and so the worm constantly lives in dread of it and thinking about the yellow jacket, and by this thinking it is slowly transformed into the yellow jacket itself. So that's why he's saying, even by constantly thinking of Krishna as their dreaded enemy, they became washed of all their sins and attained to him. And in fact, it is even stated that the purification which they could have got only in the course of 7 embodiments, if they followed the path of love, they obtained through 3 births of confrontation. So that is Vidvesha Bhakti. That is bhakti, devotion of hatred. And what happened was, as we knew that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were killed, and the same example with you can say Kamsa. Kamsa was also having hatred, bhakti, devotion of hatred. And it is said that even when a wind used to come, because he knew that Lord Krishna has incarnated to kill him, so he used to tremble even at the slightest noise of the wind, thinking it was Lord Krishna. So every moment he was thinking of Lord Krishna all the time. And the logic behind this is evident. Mortal, dead, and antagonism can produce as much absorption of the mind in object as love and attachment can. Now, we can see in one sense, the hatred is nothing but the other side of the coin of love. So when in one sense, worldly love, you can say, when there is love, there is hatred. When there is hatred, there is love also, you can see. So now if the object is God, and concentration on him, even though it is motivated by antagonism, must purify the soul, just as a potent medicine consumed necessarily effect a cure, whatever be the attitude of the patient towards it. So if a patient, as Amma says, if a patient does not like sleeping pill, and he inadvertently takes it without knowing, and he will fall asleep. So that is the effect of the medicine. So similarly, he's saying that it is obvious that this has no application in life of an ordinary person, and but there are some devotional cults which depict God as a mighty power who inflicts devastating punishments through storms, earthquakes, and floods on men who break covenants made with him, or as a dreaded terror inspiring energy which holds the votary's attention by the display of awful forms and shuddering generating might. So we can see that a cult-based approach is purely on such an experience is considered primitive, and the passage from fear of God to love of Him is supposed to be the course of evolution in religion. And though the Bhagavata theory of confrontation cannot be equated with this, it is possible only for titanic souls. Yet an element of it enters into all forms of religious sentiment based on awe. So we can see that one have to distinguish what is this Vidvesha Bhakti, because like he is saying that shallow atheism and superficial agnosticism and the pitiable attitudes of many worldlings with the so-called intellectuals has nothing to do with the Vidvesha Bhakti concept. So this cannot be called Vidvesha Bhakti. But those, as I said, those examples of Ravana and Kumbhakarna and Hiranyakashipu, these are all the examples of Vidvesha Bhakti. The next one is known as the Jnana Bhakti of the Bhagavatam Uttama. Another implication of the Bhagavata definition of Bhakti is that Jnana or knowledge has got a much more important place in that than in the conception of Narada and Shaundalya. Curiosity, the genesis of the quest for knowledge, is as much as an urge of the soul as any other passion. And the Gita therefore recognizes a jitnyasu, an inquirer, also in its classification of bhaktas, devotees. So if the inquiry takes a purely inward turn as investigation of the nature of the eye sense and its source, it becomes Jnana Yoga in the strictest sense of the term. And it becomes a type of psychology. But if the inquiry takes an outward form, also and ends in the acceptance of a supreme being, Satchidananda, who is the originator and master of all creation, and the prototype of all individuals, the enraptured contemplation of whose majesty leads ultimately to a total surrender and absorption in Him, then that discipline may be called an intellectual love. So you can see that Jnana Bhakti, that is devotion dominated by knowledge, ending in Sayujya or oneness with the divine. So Amma always talks about this Bhakti. Because most of us have this Bhakti, which is in one sense, especially in India, as Amma was saying earlier, that the devotion is based on like a commercial relationship. They go to the temple and pray to God, I will give you so much. Like when they go to the temple of Ganapati, they say that I'll break 10 coconuts, just bless me to pass the exam or get a job or interview. Or they will say, I'll give you the payasam. I'll make payasam and give it to you. So Amma always asks this question, have you ever seen Ganapati eating coconuts or the gods eating payasam? Actually these offerings are only for the people who actually bring them, and also it is beneficial for the priest who gives it to other people around, the poor kids around the temple or the poor people in the temple. So we have never seen that. So it is like a commercial relationship, a business relationship. And you say that I will give you this, you give me that. But true bhakti, that is Amma saying, that's why Jnana Bhakti, bhakti with knowledge, is what happens is in that bhakti, that you know that the end is actually is liberation, but going beyond liberation, it is the love for God without any selfish motives. So the contrast between these two may be stated as: in pure jnana discipline, the mind and the ego sink in the I, whereas in the jnana bhakti discipline, they sink in the he. The final meaning of both are the same, but in their settling, the former is idealistic, and whereas the latter, it is realistic and object-centered. So, you can say, when you say pure jnani, following the path of jnana yoga, it is always I, the inquiry into I. Who am I? Who am I? So you take out all these things. But as far as a devotee is concerned, it is always the Lord. She or he is the supreme form. So we can see that bhakti has been described, this form of devotion, as Shanta Bhakti, or devotion of peaceful mode. And the Bhagavata abounds in the lives of several sages like Rishabha, Muchukunda, Bharata, and Narada, Shuka, and others who attained to union with God through a combination of knowledge and bhakti. So we can also talk about Arjuna. Arjuna was also having this kind of a Shanta Bhakti towards the God. And it leads to a fuller understanding of the extent and the depth of divine life, that is Tattva Jnana, to an acceptance of God as both impersonal and personal, as both Nirguna and Saguna. So you can see that, they will accept God as, whatever form that is presented to them, both, personal and impersonal. And Saguna means with form and without form. So this once happens. What happens is this: during this bhakti, they see God. They understand that God can come in any form, anywhere, and even as a object, or as like you can say, as animals or human beings, or anything that can be seen or felt. But one of the things is Bhagavata is against pure intellectualism as a means for attaining the spiritual goal. And it ridicules such attempts as trying to get rice by pounding chaff, and agrees that the truth regarding the Supreme Spirit will shine only in one who has supreme devotion to God. And it is of the firm conviction that devotion generates both knowledge of God and renunciation of self-centered values. It is aptly put that just as eating a morsel of food will simultaneously produce enjoyable taste, satisfying hunger, and increase strength, so too devotion and surrender to God generate simultaneously love and knowledge of Him, together with the spirit of renunciation of worldly enjoyments. So, you can say that Bhagavata says the Bhagavatottama, that is the highest type of devotee, is one who sees the glory of the Bhagavan reflected in all beings, high and low, and also perceives all beings as dwelling in him. And the second-rate devotee is one who makes a distinction between God, his devotees, common people, and evil-mindedness, and the one who worships the images of God with great devotion, has no regard for his devotees and no consideration for others, is the most inferior type of devotee. So these three distinctions, the lowest one is he can just see God in an idol, but or the images of God, but he has no regard for his devotees of God, and no consideration for others. He's very selfish, self-centered. But the second type, the medium type, is one who sees God, but makes a distinction between God and his devotees, and common people, evil-mindedness, and minded ones, and maintaining the the attitudes to only to revere the forms of God, but not to revere the devotees. But the highest form of devotee is one who sees God in everything, everywhere, and in each and every person, whether he be of low caste or higher caste, it does not matter. Whether he be an animal or a human being, it does not matter. He sees God through his love for God in everything. So, in one sense, we can see that there are many stories in the lives of great saints. One of the examples of this is one of the disciples of Lord Shankaracharya, who's known as Padmapadar. Padmapadar means one who's a lotus feet. And Padmapadar was highly devoted to his guru, and he served his guru all the time. So what happened was he did not have time to devote his for studying scriptures, and he did not have time to even talk to others about all these things. So what happened was, since he was fully occupied with this, he did not, basically, as far as others were concerned, he did not have an understanding of scriptures. And so one day, when the scriptural class started, all the other disciples of Lord Shankaracharya came and sat. But Lord Shankaracharya, knowing their mind, did not start the class, and he kept quiet for some time. So they asked him, why are you not starting? Why don't you begin? So he said, I'm waiting for Padmapadar. So they started laughing and said, there's no use, because he's an idiot. He does not know anything. So what happened was, Lord Shankaracharya then loudly shouted, Padmapada, come. So actually Padmapadar was on the other side of the river. He was washing the clothes of Adi Shankaracharya, Lord Shankaracharya. And when he heard his name, he just came running. He did not even think that he was running on water. He just heard the call of his guru. Then he came running towards Shankaracharya and fell on his feet. The other disciples who looked at it were wonderstruck. And they said, how can he do this? So it is an illustration. Right now, we don't have to look anywhere else. You know Swami Sri Lakshmi, Amma, who serves Amma. She has been serving Amma continuously for several years. I have seen her getting sick only maybe twice or maybe thrice or maybe 4 times. That's it. And the moment she gets up and she's just completely in service of Amma. And the whole day. And when Amma goes for giving darshan, she doesn't go back to sleep, nor she takes rest. She's still doing things for Amma. And she works like until the moment Amma comes back. Then when Amma comes back, of course she's tired. Sometimes she's very tired. And as a result of which, after serving Amma, when sometimes Amma asks her to massage her feet, she falls asleep and sleeps on Amma's feet. She's so tired. Then Amma kicks her and wakes her up and says, go and sleep. So she gets only like 2 or 3 hours, and that too You can imagine every hour Amma will wake up and ask her, what is the time now? So every time she has to answer the question. And this, you can just see whether it's humanly impossible for an ordinary human being to do this. And she has been serving for so many years. And I mean, she's also getting old, isn't it? So in one sense, I would say that is a greater miracle than what we see in Amma. Because she has been serving Amma continuously without any problem. And still going on. And when she came, she was very young. She was only like 20, 21 at that time. Now she's almost 30, 40 years later. So she must be around 60. And she's still continuing to serve Amma. And she doesn't go to any scriptural class. She doesn't attend scriptures. She cannot. And sometimes Amma tells her to give satsangs. And when Amma forces her to give satsangs, then she gives satsangs. But in spite of that, in spite of all these things, she still keeps serving Amma 18 hours, 20 hours a day. Can you imagine that? How can she do that without Amma's will? And without Amma giving her the energy to do that? Now, of course, we can all say that, oh, she has been living with Amma for such a long time, and that's where she gets the power. We also have been, some of us has been also been living. And even, as I say, many other people have been living with Amma, but they don't have that kind of energy and an attitude. But that absolute devotion to Amma has given her the power to be with Amma for so long and to serve her for so many years, several years. And aptly, her name is Lakshmi. You know why? Who is the consort of Lord Mahavishnu? The holy consort of Lord Mahavishnu, Sri Lakshmi. So that's why her name is also Sri Lakshmi, in one sense. So you can see that this devotion, that's what they're saying. Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, devotion to the Guru or or to the God is the highest form. Without, why? She's serving selflessly. Swami Sri Lakshmi is serving selflessly, not even asking for liberation. So this kind of, as I said, the attitude, that's what Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about. It's even higher than getting mukti or liberation. So may Amma give us the ability to transform all our desires into the love for God or for Amma, and to attain that highest state, which is bhakti, which is even greater than mukti or liberation. Om Amriteshwari Namah. अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा है मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा है मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा है मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
मैंने किए तूने मुझे फिर भी अपनाया, अपनाया।
मुझे फिर भी अपनाया, अपनाया।
अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा है मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
जलती हुई नकली गलियों में भड़क रहा था मेरी माँ।
जलती हुई नकली गलियों में भड़क रहा था मेरी माँ।
प्यार की एक बूंद के लिए तड़प रहा था जगदम्बा।
प्यार की एक बूंद के लिए तड़प रहा था जगदम्बा।
अम्मा की छाया
में मेरा सफर, ये तेरी कृपा है मेरी माँ, मेरी माँ।
दुनिया के माया सागर में डूब रहा था मेरी माँ।
दुनिया की माया सागर में डूब रहा था मेरी माँ।
बालों से पकड़ के मुझे कैसे बचाया जगदम्बा।
बालों से पकड़ के मुझे कैसे बचाया जगदम्बा।
तुझ में क्या दे सकूं, तेरे भाग का पौधा।
तुझ में क्या दे सकूं तेरे बाग का पौधा।
शबनम बने मेरे आंसू तेरे चरणों पे अर्पित
शबनम बने आंसू तेरे चरणों पे अर्पित
अम्मा की छाया में मेरा सफर ये तेरी कृपा मेरी माँ मेरी माँ।
अम्मा की छाया में तेरा सफर ये तेरी कृपा है मेरी माँ मेरी माँ।
इतने मैंने किए तूने मुझे फिर भी अपनाया अपनाया।
इतने पाप तेरे तूने मुझे फिर भी अपनाया अपनाया
अपनाया मेरी माँ
अपनाया मेरी
अपनाया जगदम्बा
अपनाया जगदम्बा।
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो गणेशाय नमो जय जय गणेशाय नमो
Ganeshaya Namo, Jai Jai Ganeshaya Namo, Ganeshaya Namo, Jai Jai Ganeshaya Namo.
गाना तेरे सुन है गणेश, कृपा निधि तुम सबके ईश्वर।
गाना तेरे सुन है गणेश, कृपा निधि तुम सबके ईश्वर।
दीन बंधु तुम जग के दादा,
दीन बंधु तुम जग के दाता,
दीन बंधु तुम जग के दादा।
दीन बंधु तुम जग के दाता।
पार्वती नंदन षण्मुख प्रदा,
दीन बंधु तुम जग के दाता, पार्वती नंदन षण्मुख प्रदा।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
तुम हो प्रभु गुणगान के सागर, सुर मुनि मन में नित्य उजागर।
तुम हो प्रभु गुण ज्ञान के सागर, सुर मुनि मन में नित्य उजागर।
तारु प्रसन्न में कैसे नाथा,
तारु प्रसन्न में कैसे आता।
प्रेम भक्ति सब सुख के दाता।
तारु प्रसन्न में कैसे आता। प्रेम भक्ति सब सुख के दाता।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
मेरे मन में अब एक ही आशा, एक ही आस बरसो राजा।
मेरे मन में अब एक ही आशा, एक ही आस बरसो प्यासा।
हृदय कमल तेरी आज में फूले,
हृदय कमल तेरी आज में फूले।
मिठे अंधियारा मन मौज में डूबे।
हृदय कमल तेरी आज में फूले। सीधे अंधियारा मैं मौज में झूले।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो, गणेशाय नमो, जय जय गणेशाय नमो।
कुछ न ले आया तो कुछ न ले जाएगा, नाम हरि का जब ले संग वही आएगा।
कुछ न ले आया तो कुछ न ले जाएगा, नाम हरि का जप ले संग वही आएगा।
कुछ न ले आया तो कुछ न ले जाएगा, नाम हरि का जब ले संग वही आएगा।
कुछ न ले आया तो कुछ न ले जाएगा, नाम हरि का जप ले संग वही आएगा।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
होगा क्या कल ये न तुझको खबर है, कुछ दिनों की है रे जीवन सफर है।
होगा क्या कल न तुझको खबर है, कुछ दिनों की है जीवन सफर है।
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
सुख में सब साथ रहे, दुख में न कोई रे, अपने से बढ़कर न प्रेम करे कोई रे।
सुख में सब साथ रहे, दुख में न कोई रे, अपने से बढ़कर न प्रेम करे कोई रे।
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
कुछ न ले आया तो कुछ न ले जाएगा, नाम हरि का जब ले संग वही आएगा।
कुछ न ले आया तो कुछ न ले जाएगा, नाम हरि का जप ले संग वही आएगा।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल।
होगा क्या कल ये न तुझको खबर है, कुछ दिनों की है रे जीवन सफर है।
होगा क्या करे न तुझको खबर है, कुछ दिनों की है ये जीवन सफर है।
सुख में सब साथ रहे, दुख में न कोई रे, अपने से बढ़कर न प्रेम कर कोई रे।
सुख में सब साथ रहे, दुख में न कोई रे, अपने से बढ़कर न प्रेम करे कोई रे।
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल,
समय न गवा तो
हरि हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल,
Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Mambe, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
కరుణావారిధి కమల విలోచిని కవిదామృతమయి మాతే
కమల విలోచిని కవిదామృతమయి మాతే
కలిమల నాశిని కన్మశమోజిని सकल जगन्मयी सर्वजनेश्वरी माते
चिन्मयी सकल जगन्मयी सर्वजनेश्वरी
सुरमुनि सेवित कर्मण सरोजे जगदम्बे
सुरमुनि सेवित Jai Jai Ma.
अमृतानंदमयी मंगलारती माधवाई अमृतानंदमयी जय बोलो सद्गुरुनाथा अमृतानंदमयी देवी की असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय नित्यो मा अमृतंगमय ओम शांति 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 ओम लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि